What's up guys, welcome back to the next video on learning Laravel. My name is Curious Danny and you guys watching my channel Coraiwood. In this video we're going to see what is named route or route names. Route names are very important in Laravel if you guys want to learn, say for example if you guys want to go in view and if you guys want to find your way around. Say for example if you guys going view and you're putting A and you want to find to anchor tag, you want to find, for example, you want to go to the table about, then this is very useful route operators, but we can use it with the controller. So in this video we're going to talk about the route names, then we're going to talk about the controllers, how we're going to make our controllers through our command line, and how we're going to use our route, and at the end then we're going to talk about the CRUD. There is something called CRUD. So CRUD is in database throughout this Laravel. You guys gonna hear again and again and again that something called create, it's called read, and then we something called update, and this one's D, CRUD. So that this one's destroy. So we're gonna in our controller we're gonna create, we're gonna read, we're gonna update, and we're gonna destroy. And that's all you can do in your MySQL or database. That's going to be our discussion for the future videos. Alright, so first thing first, if you guys go here and open the CMD, our command line, if you guys open this one, and as I have opened, and if you guys going to put a PHP artisan serve to fire up the Laravel. Okay, so if you guys look in here, our Laravel is up and running, and if you guys want, you can destroy this ones, clean this ones, or if you guys want, you guys just put a star and put a / to put it inside the comment. So I'm gonna put all in comment just in case if you need to reference it in the future. Okay, so we're gonna come and we're gonna start name route names. How did we gonna create a route name? Say for example, if you come here inside the blade, and we're gonna create something called A, and we're gonna create A, and say we're gonna put a say href, and if you put a href, say for example you can put a Coraio, for example, you put a Coraio here, and here you gonna put a PHP, we're gonna put a PHP, and we put an echo, we put a URL. So now we're gonna put a URL, and inside the URL we're gonna go to Coraio, for example. So if you're gonna come here and refresh, you're gonna see Coraio, and you're gonna see the hand. When you press Coraio, it means it's going to take you to the Coraio. See, that's the whole concept of this route. See, this one we're going to do with the route, but here we are doing with the PHP. It's the same as if you say our 127, say if I copy this one, it's exactly the same. So if I put it here, that's this guy's here, it means that take me to this URL Coraio. From this page take me to here, but there is no such page as Coraio because Laravel can't find it. If there is a page, Laravel is going to find it, but unfortunately there is no page because we haven't created it. So if you haven't created it, there's no way Laravel is going to find it. Okay, so that's the whole idea of the name route. And if you guys want, I'm going to leave it here. You can put a route. We're gonna put a route as usual. We're gonna put a get, and here we have already put a. We already know how to put a where, and now we're gonna put something called name here. So sometime from time to time, you guys gonna see name. Say if you have students, and here if the students have ID. Which students gonna have ID. If you want to see, you can put a students dot show. Okay, because students here is a page, and we want to see which students. So here we have a show, And as I said here, we can do it towards a CRUD, say according to our controller. As I said, we're going to talk about controller. So what we have in our controller, we have a public function, then we have an index. Okay, so the first one is that if you guys want to create your controller, which is going to be exactly like this guy here, class student controller extends, not a base controller, but we're going to extend the controller. So we're going to extend all this controller, whatever controller you guys want to make, we're going to extend to this one controller, and this in return, this controller is going to go to the base controller. So the base controller is illuminate routing in controller as base controller. Okay, so here we can we have inside the controller we have a public function index, and then we're gonna, if I copy this one, then we have a public function, we have a create. Then if I can put it again, then we have a public function store, and then we're gonna have a public function show, and we have a public function edit, update, and destroy. So we have twice here. This one's gonna be edit, then update, and then it's gonna be destroy. The last one. All right, why I put all of these methods here? The reason I put all of this, because all of this method belongs to the controller. Edit, sorry for the typo. So initially Laravel had a index, Laravel had a create, Laravel had a show, Laravel had an update and destroy, and later on the Laravel put an edit and put a store. So you're going to see all these methods inside the controller, and we're going to create a controller shortly. So for example, if you want to see the student's ID, you're going to have to put a show, or you can put a, say for example, a create. You can put any of this method. You can put a create, or you can put a, say for example, edit, update, or you can put a destroy. You can put destroy here. That's when we can put it, just put an alias here as a name. You can put it as, you can put your arrays as well. Initially, as I said, you guys gonna have, the first one's gonna be your URI, the second ones have normally we created our say for example function, and that's what we used to do, function, and we used to put here. We can do this way as well, but there is a lot of another one is, which is the shorter way, is that the second one we can put a, say for example, a students controller. Make sure your controller is going to come as a plural, because your models gonna come as a singular, because controller comes as a users and the model come as a user. So you can see as a user, because user have a, this one goes in our database. Keep in mind, whatever we have in our model, it goes in a database. For this video, we're going to concentrate on the controller, because we have a students controller, and our students controller have a destroy. Say for example, we can put a name. In our case, we're going to put a show. And if you want to come to access any of these, you can just create add, and you can put an index, for example. And you're going to see that if the students, whatever the students, our product, our users, whatever, if it has an ID, then take me to this controller and take me to this method. And because the ID is here, we're going to go on the show to show the user ID, which user is that. Our we can use the ID with the, we can't use it with index. Keep in mind, because index is just like a normal. Create is just like normal. We can create anything, store like that. But the show is, you guys need the ID. Keep in mind, with the show, you guys need the ID, means which show which. If you ask me to show product, then I'm gonna ask you which product. because that product should have an ID. And even if I want, if the same one, if I tell you to edit this, can you edit the product, or then you're going to ask me which one, which product, or which user. Or if you want, if I ask you to say update the user, then you're going to ask me which. So we're going to use the ID with the update, we're going to use the ID with the edit, and we're going to use the ID with show. Even sometime you guys gonna not gonna specifically show, because sometimes we're gonna have a say product. If you are using Amazon, and Amazon's have a like the front page like a 300 product, and if you click on that, on the one product, say for example if you like a car, and then you guys gonna see that the page for the car opens, and this page have a ID. It means which car. Is it Mercedes, or is it BMW, is it Ford, or whatever, whichever car is that. Because with the show, then you guys need the ID, whatever ID it is. And that's what we have here, the method for the, that's what here we have, we're going to take a parameter of ID. The first one, in this one, all take request, because you guys requesting, and this guys here needs the ID. This one's gonna need an ID as well as a parameter, and the update is gonna need an ID. And finally this guys need an ID, because it's not can destroy all, but it's gonna ask you which one you want me to delete. Even if I ask you to delete something, then you're gonna ask me which one you want me to delete. That's what we need an ID for this one. And that's what you guys need an ID. When we use ID here, then you guys gonna ask, they can go to index, then we can go to either update, or we can go to show. So we can go to show, for example, or we can go to update, or we can go to say edit, or we can go to destroy. But we don't need an ID for index, because it's general. With the create, you're just creating, and with the store, you don't need an ID. But you do need an ID for a show, say for example for edit, especially with the edit, or for update, or especially for destroy. You must have an ID for the Laravel to go ahead. Otherwise Laravel is not gonna destroy anything specific, because anything that you want to be specific, or when we're gonna have a which in your mind, it means you need an ID for that. Alright, so now what we're gonna do is that we're gonna go and create our student controller. And we're gonna make sure you guys delete this one, because you're gonna get an error from Laravel. So, and we're gonna create, we're gonna make sure you also put a comment, because once you guys go here, if the Laravel detects that you guys have an error, then you guys can't be, you guys won't be able to make your controller. Alright, so make sure you guys leave nothing here that you guys trigger error. Say for example this name, because we don't have a student controller at the moment, and you guys are gonna give you error. Alright, so we're gonna come here, and we're gonna see here Laravel's here, and just hit the Control C and get out of the Laravel. So once Laravel's you out of the Laravel artisan serve, you guys can put a PHP artisan, and you can put a make, and you can put a colon, you can put a controller, and you can paste it user control, students controller. You can make up whatever. You can put a members controller, or your family's controller, for example, or your friends controller, or your whatever you like, your pets or anything controller, first controller, ABC controller. But I just want to make it real life scenario, because students have a ID, and you can update it, you can delete it, you can destroy it, or you can put a members, or a social club, or a motorcycle club, anything that you guys like. You make sure you put the first one upper, and you can make sure you guys put a controller as well, because that's a requirement for Laravel. So if you put a ABC controller, the first always upper, and this one controller is always upper. And once it's done, then you guys can press enter, and our controller has been created successfully. If you look in here, our students controller is ready. So, and make sure you guys go ahead and put a PHP artisan serve, because without this one you guys won't be able to see Laravel. And if you look in here, we have a students controller. As I said before, you guys can extend this controller. Make sure you guys don't touch this one. This is for Laravel use only. Whatever control you guys making, you guys make your controllers here. So here, yeah, if you guys look in here, we have app HTTP controllers. That's our namespace, because in Laravel everything have a namespace, because that's MVC, and this is use the Laravel using this request here, this class request. So the class here as illuminate HTTP and the request. There is a class there, and through this class we are using the controller, because this class is built for the request, and through the request we are using the controller. And as I said, you can create a lot of say for example methods here. You can put a public function index, and that's your index. In our case, we're going to do public function show, and you can return whatever you guys want to return. This is coming from show students show, for example, show method. Okay, so now it's a student show, and you can put a method here. Alright, so now we have a show and we have an index here. With the index, if you can put a, say for example, when we go here and create our view, you can put a view here. You can put a return view. Whatever view you guys creating, for example, we can put a welcome blade. We can put a students, for example, blade php. That's what we're gonna do. But for the now time being, we're gonna comment this one, because we're gonna show you the next video about the middleware. Middleware is very important, and finally we're gonna come on the view. And when we're gonna come to the view, that's gonna be very exciting. Okay, so now we don't need this at the moment, and we only want to see the show, because here we have put our show. Say if you're gonna come here, you're gonna see the students ID and students controller. Okay, so if you come here and where there is a parameter, we can add an ID, and once the ID is done, and then you're gonna come here and says we have a students controller, and there is a method called show, and here you have a students controller, and you guys need to put an add, and you can put a show. Alright, so if you look in here, we have a message. We want to display this message. If we can display this message, we can display this view as well, because that's going to work exactly the same as the students. We haven't got cleared students blade PHP, but once we clear the students blade PHP, then we're going to be able to see that, and we're going to create that one. So here now we're should be able to see this one, because it says show and we have an ID. Say here we have a student's ID, we have a controller, and we have a add, and there is a method here. And what's our method? Our method is going to be show. So now we're going according to our controller, and if you come here and hit the save all, we're going to save all. And if you here refresh, we're going to refresh. It means we don't have an error. So if I put a students, so and if I put an ID, for example, ID is 400. So here it says that target class students controller does not exist, but we just created if you guys remember, we just created through here. We have just created controller student. Why it says that students controller not exist. So there is if you come here, look in here, we have namespace app HTTP controllers. That's our base class. And if you look in here, we have a namespace, because the Laravel goes according to the namespace. And if you come here at providers, and if you look in here, we have a constant here, and that's our constant is going to be the name. So we have a constant, and that's going to be home. the reason we see home without controller is because we have a constant here, home. So if you guys gonna look here, protected namespaces, and if you guys remove this one, I'm here at line 29. If you have different, Laravel might have a different line, but I'm here in line 29. Says protected namespace app / http controllers. So if you hit the control save, and if you put control save, and if you come here and we put a refresh, then we're going to see this one. That means it's coming from controller. This is coming from the students. This is coming from students controller show method. So for example, students controller show method, and if you refresh here, we're going to see exactly the same message, because we have the first one is students, and what is the ID? The ID is 400. So if you look in here without ID, it means that can't be found. So that's one thing you guys note. It needs ID. Why it needs ID? Because we need a parameter as ID, because the show means which students. So for example, this is students, for example, Yazdani. Student name is say Yazdani. Say we put a H1, and we put a H1, we put a H1, and we put a Yazdani. Okay, so we're gonna see if we can see our students. Yazdani is, for example, we put a number 100. Student name Yazdani. So that's what we're gonna see if I put an ID here. So that's how we're gonna put here. So now we have a student Yazdani. How about if you're gonna come here, say welcome, we put a echo, and we put a route. Say now we put an echo, and we put a route. What we're gonna put inside our route, we put a students, and we put a show. Exactly like a route, we're gonna put a students.show. That's our name that we put it here. Now we are using the name here inside our welcome. We put a students route.show, and if you put it, we're gonna get error. So we put a students go to students page. That's what we're gonna go here. Now if you look in here, students.show here needs an ID. So how do we gonna put an ID? For example, now if you put here, we're gonna get error because we didn't put an ID. So we're gonna come here and say here, then we need to put an ID, and whatever ID you guys want to put it. Say for example, you need to put a array, and we put an ID. Say in our route we put an ID, then you guys need to put an ID here, and then you guys need to put a arrow operator, and the arrow operator is that equal and greater than that. The arrow operator is the way for the PHP to show that this has some value. Say for example, what's the value of the ID? For example, it's 100. So there is a value of ID. That value of the ID is going to be exactly like that here. So now we're going to remove all, and we're going to come here, and we're going to save all, and we're going to refresh again, and it says go to the students page. Once we click, and it goes to the students 100. Student's name is Yazdani, because here this guy is here. So if you go back again, and it says go students page, is coming from here, as we said here, students.show, and that's the route's name. That's this guy is here. We put a students.show. This is our route's name. We name this route show, so we can use this one anywhere we want. Say we use it here, we use it in our view. So here we put a href. That's going to be exactly the same echo route students.show. Where is this students route shows coming? This guy here. Instead of putting this one, we name it students.show, because in our controller we have a students controller dot show. Here we have a method, and our methods takes ID. We have to put an ID. You can put a student, say for example different students, Kuraiwood for example, we can put it Kuraiwood. But regardless of what you guys going to put it here and what you guys have inside your page, which your page is going to sit here, because we have named our route this wise here, you can reference it every time you guys want. You can reference it anywhere inside your application, and every time the Laravel comes in and bump up to this one, they're just going to look for the name. Which names Laravel is going to look for? The students.show. You can put a labor.show, members.show, motorcycle.show, products.show, anything.show, as long as your name's connected with your controller and you have a method and you have an ID, you guys are very good to go. So here we have now we have changed. Here we have changed ID, we have changed everything. Now we're gonna come in our blade, and instead of this one we can put a 7000 for example. That's going to be the ID. We're going to come here, file, save all, and we're going to come here, refresh, and here we're going to go to the 700, and now the student's name is Kuraiwood. How cool is this? And I'm going to recap again that in our route we have done as before. We have created the ID, then we created the controller, and our controllers have a method which is called show, and that's our controller that we created through our command line through PHP artisan make controller students controller, which our controller is going to be here. We have two methods. The first one is index, which we're going to use for our views. The second one is the student's ID, which we have already put it here. So because we're taking ID, keep in mind if you put an ID here, you need to put an ID here as well. If you don't put your ID here, you don't put your ID here. So if you put an ID, because we are requiring ID, and in here if you put this one out of the way, so if you got a get error that the controller is not found, you guys going to come here, route service provider, and uncomment this one. So we're gonna get rid of that one here. So here now we have created the name, routing name, but this is not going to be useful unless we are going somewhere. Say for example in our main view we are going to change this one. So we are going to change this one, because how we're going to change this one is we're going to change through this one here. So when you guys going to put it here, you guys going to put it a href like before. Instead of PHP URL, you're just putting route. We didn't put a URL, we put a route. Then we use the students.show. And where is the students.show? Is here, students.show. So the students.show is our route name, and we can use the route name here, and we assigning the ID, and is you're going to see here the 700 we're going to see. So that's name and route in Laravel. So I'm going to recap that in this video we have explained the route names, we have explained how to make controller, and we have explained CRUD, and we have explained how to go to the pages with our route names. If you're going to see here, we have put a route names and we have put a controller. Alright guys, that's it for this video. If you have any question or comment, leave it in the comment box. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video, and bye.